High in the mountains of Japan, there were once wandering ascetic monks, mystics who sought enlightenment through discipline, meditation, and solitude in the wilderness. They were called the Yamabushi, which means, roughly, those who lie down in the mountains. And there was a particular mushroom they revered, a strange, white, cascading thing that grew on old trees and looked like nothing else in the forest, like a frozen waterfall, or a cascade of icicles, or the shaggy white mane of a lion. The monks gave it a name that tied it to themselves and their spiritual path, Yamabushitake, the mushroom of the mountain monks. And they believed that eating it sharpened the mind, deepened concentration, and cleared the fog from their thoughts. They were reaching, in the language of their time, towards something that modern neuroscience would only begin to confirm centuries later. Because this mushroom, it turns out, does something almost no other food on Earth is known to do. It speaks directly to the growth of your nerves. This is the secret history of lion's mane, and it may be the most quietly astonishing mushroom in this entire series. Not because it kills, or poisons, or intoxicates, but because it appears to reach into the human brain and encourage it, gently, to repair and regrow itself. Let me show you how an ancient monk's mushroom became one of the most exciting frontiers in the science of the aging mind. First, the mushroom itself, because it is genuinely one of the most beautiful and bizarre in the fungal world. Its scientific name is Hericium arenaceus, but its common names are far more evocative. In English, lion's mane, for its long, flowing white spines. In Japan, the mountain monk's mushroom. In China, Hotu gu, the monkey head mushroom. Unlike a typical mushroom with a cap and a stem, lion's mane grows as a rounded white mass covered in long, soft, dangling spines, hanging from the wounds and dead wood of broadleaf trees like oak and beech. It looks, honestly, more like a sea creature or a natural sculpture than a fungus. And for centuries, across East Asia, it was valued as both a delicacy, its texture often compared to seafood like crab or lobster, and as a medicine. In traditional Chinese medicine, lion's mane was classified as a tonic for the digestive and nervous systems, used for ailments of the stomach and for conditions we might loosely connect to nervous exhaustion. And among those Japanese mountain monks, it was prized for mental clarity and focus in meditation. For hundreds of years, then, two great medical traditions independently arrived at the same intuition, that this particular mushroom was good for the mind and the nerves. Once again in this series, we find ancient people pointing, without the tools to explain it, at something that would turn out to be real. The scientific breakthrough came in 1991, in Japan, through the work of a researcher named Hirokazu Kawajishi. Studying the chemistry of lion's mane, he and his team isolated a family of compounds from the mushroom's fruiting body, which they named Hericinones. And these compounds did something remarkable in the laboratory. They stimulated cells to produce more of a substance called nerve growth factor. Later research would identify a second, related family of compounds, called rhinocines, found in the mushroom's mycelium, that did the same thing, and did it even more powerfully in one crucial respect. To understand why this matters, we need to talk about nerve growth factor itself, because it is one of the quiet heroes of modern biology. Nerve growth factor, often shortened to NGF, is a protein essential to the life of your neurons. It helps nerve cells survive, grow, develop, and maintain themselves. It was such an important discovery that the scientist who first identified it, Rita Levi-Montalcini, was awarded a Nobel Prize for it. NGF is, in a sense, fertilizer for the nervous system. And here is the problem. As we age, and in various neurological diseases, the support and regeneration of our neurons falters. For a long time, science believed something even bleaker, that the adult brain simply could not grow new neurons at all, that you were born with all you would ever have, and it was all downhill from there. We now know that isn't entirely true, that the brain retains a real capacity to form new connections and, in certain regions, new neurons, a property called neuroplasticity. But that capacity needs the right conditions, the right signals, the right fertilizer to flourish. And this is where lion's mane becomes genuinely extraordinary. Its compounds stimulate the production of nerve growth factor. And the erinacines, from the mushroom's mycelium, have a special talent. They are small enough and structured in a way that lets them cross the blood-brain barrier, the tight, protective wall that keeps most substances in your bloodstream out of your brain. Most molecules are turned away at that barrier. The erinacines can slip through, reach the brain, and they encourage the production of the very factor that helps neurons grow and repair. A compound from a mushroom, reaching past one of the body's most selective defenses to whisper to your neurons, grow. In laboratory studies and animal experiments, the results have been striking. Lion's mane compounds have been shown to promote the outgrowth of nerve fibers, to protect neurons from damage, and to improve learning and memory in animal models, including models of Alzheimer's-like damage. Researchers have explored its potential across a range of conditions: memory decline, nerve injury, mood disorders like anxiety and depression, and the great neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. There have even been early, small clinical trials in humans, including studies suggesting that lion's mane may improve mild cognitive impairment in older adults, with the benefits fading after people stop taking it, hinting at a real, ongoing effect. But now I have to do the thing that honesty in this series demands, and temper the excitement with the truth. Because lion's mane is, right now, surrounded by enormous hype, sold everywhere as a brain-boosting supplement with sweeping promises. And the real state of the science is more modest and more honest than the marketing. Much of the most impressive evidence comes from cells in a dish and from animals, and results in those settings do not always carry over to human beings. The human clinical trials so far have often been small, short, and preliminary. Scientists working in this field are clear about what is still needed: large, rigorous, long-term clinical trials, standardized preparations, and a deeper understanding of exactly how these compounds behave in the human body. Lion's mane is not a proven cure for Alzheimer's, or a guaranteed memory pill, and anyone promising you that has left the science behind. What it is one of the most promising and genuinely intriguing natural candidates in all of neuroscience, a real lead worth taking seriously, not a finished miracle. And that measured truth does not diminish the wonder, it sharpens it. Because step back and look at the whole arc of this story. Centuries ago, mountain monks in Japan and healers in China, with no microscopes and no concept of neurons or growth factors, looked at a strange white mushroom hanging from a tree and concluded that it nourished the mind and steadied the nerves. They built it into their meditation, their medicine, their pursuit of clarity. And when modern chemistry finally examined that same mushroom, it found, threaded through its tissues, compounds that stimulate the exact protein our neurons need to grow, compounds clever enough to cross into the brain itself. The monks could not have told you about nerve growth factor, but they had noticed its effects, and they had reached, across the centuries, toward a truth that a Nobel Prize and a laboratory in Shizuoka would one day begin to confirm. That is the deep pattern this whole hidden history keeps revealing. So much of what we now call ancient superstition was, in fact, careful observation wearing older clothes, real effects that people noticed long before they had the words to explain them. The mountain monks were not fools chasing a fantasy. They were, in their own way, some of the first neuroscientists, and their laboratory was the forest, and their instrument was patient attention across generations. So the next time you see a lion's mane mushroom, that shaggy white cascade clinging to an old tree, remember what it carries inside it. Remember that a wandering monk, 1,000 years ago, ate it to clear his mind, and that a modern researcher, in our own time, found within it a molecule that reaches toward the growing edge of a nerve. Some doorways to the mind, it turns out, are not made of stone or ritual. They are made, quietly, of fungus. In the next Secret History, we come to the most sacred and controversial mushroom of all, one that ancient peoples called the flesh of the gods, that great civilizations worshipped, that conquerors tried to erase, and that modern science is only now, cautiously, welcoming back. The story of psilocybin. If this hidden world keeps surprising you, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.